Gems, and go! It's time for our GOAT 2014 awards, also known as Game of the Year.
Yeah, to the lesser people known as Game of the Year. The cool people know it as GOATs.
Yep.
We are big Fallout fans here. I always wanted to be a tunnel snake. No, again, no innuendo intended.
Tunnel snakes rule.
They do.
But
I really
we're
want
the
that hair.
tunnel snakes. That's us. And we rule! Right.
High five, slap, confetti. I'm
Right.
actually blushing and you're looking at my skirt now because this is actually anime.
Wait, what?
Anyway. Game of the Year. Come on.
This went in a weird direction. Right, let's see, we got Bayonetta 2,
Yep. Bayonetta 2, exclusive for the Nintendo Wii U,
Dragon Age Inquisition,
which is everywhere,
on everything, Titanfall,
which is on the Xbox platforms and the PC,
Call of Duty Advanced Warfare,
which is also everywhere.
not on the Wii U,
It's not on the Wii U?
don't think so.
Moving on.
The Last of Us Remastered,
Which is on the PlayStation 4.
Transistor,
On the PlayStation 4 and the PC.
Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor,
Which is also everywhere. But it's not the same game. Like, on the older generations, it's not got the Nemesis system in. So for the
And-
purposes of this, we're talking about PC and next gen.
and lastly, Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire,
Which is on the Nintendo 3DS.
and 2DS, come on.
That's where I'm playing it.
And
So
3DS XL and 3DS IXL, whatever the new one's called.
I can only take 2Ds, you can clearly take 3. You are the master in this realm.
My holes can take 3.
Anyway, Bayonetta 2, fantastic game. Maybe 7 hours. You kick the shit out of demons. And also angels. Fucking, I don't know, it's an action game, it's great, plays really well.
You kick the shit out of demons while wearing, like, no clothes.
Well, your clothes are your hair, and you use your hair to summon your own demons. Like, there's moments in that game where you'll be fighting an enemy, like your big rival is the Lumen Sage, that, again, spoilers, actually turns out to be your dad, I think. And you're fighting him time and time again, and then you get to these scenes, there's a few of them in the game, but you basically summon your hair demon, like your persona, I guess, fires him at the ground, he summons his version, and they're, like, fighting in the background. And then, like, one of them kills the other one or something, and then you summon another one, and he summons another one, and there's, like, all these huge, big monsters fighting in the background as you're fighting in the front. It's fucking insane. That game is
Really?
insane. You ride, like, weird floating centipede dragons through, like, hell and stuff. At one point, you're in the middle of a whirlpool, and this dragon is throwing churches at you. Fucking, don't know where it's pulling these churches from, it's just throwing churches at you, and you're surfing through the wave. Oh,
That sounds like something out of Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, where you're running down a church while he's throwing bits of the church at you.
yep, same developer. They both play great. Like, it's
Pretty
great.
awesome.
It's not got the whole blocking mechanic for Vengeance. It's more about timing. So, like, rather than just spamming out combos, it's like, if you pause, you'll get a different move when you hit the next button than if you just slam them out. So, like,
Yeah.
there's kind of a rhythm to the combat. It's really, really cool. Good game. It's a great game, in fact. Do you want to hit the shooters next?
Sure, but what the shooters, Titanfall and CODs?
Yeah, they're
Uh,
both good. You played them both?
Titanfall is a great game. I wasn't super into it when it first came out. Like, I thought it was, average. Then I kept coming back to it, and coming back to it as they put out updates. And the latest update with the... what's it called?
Frontier Defense.
Frontier Defense is an amazing game mode. It's like a horde. It's like hordes, but they're randomized, and you have titans and AI that you have to kill and defend an objective.
It's kind of what that game was meant for, wasn't it? Because obviously there's a lot of AI enemies in the main competitive multiplayer.
Mm.
But you're right. Like, just finding so many more of them and having them all charge at you constantly, and like,
You'll have waves where it's like 20 nuke titans, and you've got to like sit back and defend them. That's great.
it's fucking insane. It's some of the best multiplayer I've had on these generation of consoles, I think.
Yeah, and even the competitive multiplayer is really fun. Like, I enjoy every second I play of it.
It's so free, isn't it? Like, the way you're fucking spiraling up buildings and shit, and the movement's fantastic, the shooting's fantastic.
Even the way they handle, like, quote-unquote kill streaks being the Titans is really good, where everybody will get them at some point in the game. It's not like a Call of Duty where only the good people will get their kill streaks, and if you're bad at the game, then you're just not having fun playing it.
But bringing COD into this, which is obviously a very similar game, especially with the exosuits in this year. Like COD is quite good that I can now remove all my kill streaks because I'm never going to get any really because I'm not that good, or I'm not that consistent, I should say. But I can instead swap them out for more guns or more perks to keep me alive and stuff.
Yeah.
But Titanfall's a different matter, isn't it? Because it's a lot more limited. Like everything's super balanced, but you don't get as many options
Yeah.
in terms of loadout and stuff.
Whereas Call of Duty, you've got like 20, 30 weapons, even some weird ones like laser beam guns and crossbows.
Problem is, most of them are shit. Like, we saw it just playing the first few days when we played like a lot of that game. Was everybody gravitates to like one of two weapons or something like.
Everybody uses the BAL. That's it.
It's the BAL. I mean, we were using the laser gun for jokes, but let's be realistic, it was not good.
I don't like the kill streaks in Advanced Warfare. None of them seem good. I mean, I know they wanted to make it so you have to either control them, or to get kills, or you help your team. There's no automatic ones anymore. But I like the automatic ones. These ones just don't feel as cool.
I think the wave-based survival mode is a bit shit, though. I mean,
Exo Survival.
it's basically like Spec Ops Survival from the older games, but Spec Ops Survival was joined by Spec Ops missions, and I thought they were good, like actual co-op missions, whereas this game is just a survival mode. It's just fucking lame. Like, it's really boring.
Yeah.
Like, we got to the point where it, like, made the enemy stronger, didn't they? And, like, restarted the next wave. So, several hours in, we played on all the maps. Like, I had very little fun with that. I thought it was, like, really bad, in fact. Not that I think Zombies is good, but,
Well, they're adding zombies in the DLC.
Great, so there's two things I don't like. But, on the other hand, like, Titanfall campaign was quite lackluster.
Yeah.
Barely a campaign. I mean, I didn't have a problem with it. I enjoyed what I played of it, but it
Well,
wasn't impressive.
They clearly said that you do not buy this game for the campaign. It is only for multiplayer.
Fucking multiplayer was great in that game. I think the multiplayer in that game is better than COD because I think it's more pure. Like, when it came out, I played mad amounts of the beta, and then I bought it on the Xbox One and the PC, and that game is just so well polished. Like, everything in that game plays great. All the guns are great. I can kill you with anything, sort of thing. But
Yeah.
whereas COD is like, there's so much bullshit you have to go through, like all this crap leveling which gets you nothing really useful. Like, I don't know. Like, I really liked when they patched in voices for the mechs in Titanfall.
Yeah.
Like, I like French lady. Was it Andrea or someone? Ryoko.
I had Ryoko. Yep. Best
Out of the
girl.
two games, which do you prefer? Because I think Titanfall is a stronger game.
I would say Titanfall 2.
Yeah, it's a solid game.
But moving on to, I guess, RPGs, Dragon Age Inquisition and Shadow of Mordor.
That game is great, dude. That game, I know for a fact, is my personal game of the year, Dragon Age.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to sell it to you if you haven't played it. I mean, I've played like 108 hours of that game, and I can't wait to start playing it again when they release some DLC for it. It's so huge. It's like beyond the scale of anything BioWare have put out before, and like it's beyond the scale of Skyrim by far. And the art's great, the characters are great, the fucking performances are fantastic. I mean, I think the start is quite weak, and I know a lot of people really like the start. Listening to some of other people's Game of the Year debates, but I don't know. I think that game is just really the kind of game that BioWare have been talking about making for so long. And there's always been problems like, Dragon Age Inquisition, Origins was really janky, and 2 was really limited. And the Mass Effect games always got better, but this just feels like a level above. Like,
Yeah.
the world is great. It's fucking fantastic. I really like the combat. I could see why people wouldn't. Like, I played as all the classes, obviously. Most of my time, my first proper run through was with a mage. Then I played again as a warrior. I put some time as the rogue. I play predominantly online as the rogue. I play as the archer. And it's a really good game. It's great, in fact. 5 out of 5. Go read the review.
What about Shadow of Mordor?
I had problems with that game, but I think it can't be overlooked. Like, the Nemesis system is huge when you think about it. The way they handle AI, and the fact that, like, I thought all the story in that game was shit. Like, it was just boring at some point. It didn't offend my, like, Lord of the Rings fandom or anything. It was just not interesting to play, and the story missions were like Assassin's Creed, where they're not interesting. But like the gameplay in that game is great. It's better than Assassin's Creed. The combat is really it's like the Batman combat, so it's really fluid but rewarding. And it's brutal, but the Nemesis system is the star there. 'Cause the way they develop the orcs and like give you rivalries you care about. It's like it's not been seen anywhere else, I don't think.
Yeah.
But I think that game is flawed in several key ways, so I don't think it should win Game of the Year.
Okay.
I don't think Transistor should win Game of the Year either, but that's a really beautiful game. It's maybe only a couple of hours experience, but it's a cheap price.
Yeah.
And like that's strategy, I guess, real-time strategy. You can play it it's turn-based strategy, where you sort of like pause time and then make your actions and then watch them play out. But you can play them in real time if you like. And it's just like you go through that entire world not knowing what's happening or why you're there or what it really is. And just like the sense of exploration and discovery is. It's great when you consider how limited the game is in terms of where you can go and stuff.
Yeah.
Like the world building is great. And The Last of Us Remastered is great, but The Last of Us came out last year. And that's just my first time playing it, so...
Why is it on this list then?
Because it's great, but I think it's also a 2013 game, you know? Like this game came out this year for the PS4, but nobody will talk about this game because everybody that would talk about it already played it last year, and it's fucking great.
Yeah.
One of my favorite games ever, I think. But I think it's a last year game. I just wanted to talk about how great it was.
Let's see. You added Pokemon Auras on here after you've played it now. I mean, I wasn't going to add it because I didn't feel like it maybe stood up to these other games in this category.
Well, it's a remastering at the end of the day, isn't it? So it's the same problem that Last of Us has, but...
I guess, but the game did come out, almost 10 years ago?
And it does different things. Like, they've added a lot to this. Like, that game's great. Like, you talk about it in the review a lot. And some of your complaints were that you maybe thought it was a bit easy, which I agree with you. But at the same time, as somebody who doesn't have, like, 50 hours to put into grinding all the badges, like, this is maybe the best thing they could have done, was give me that XP share at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, you can turn it off if you like. That's an option they have, but I just think it alleviates a lot of the strain I have with them games and why I never finish a Pokemon game. So,
Have you never finished a Pokemon game?
Yeah, but like I bought Black and White, and then I bought Black, and then I bought White too. I played like 80 hours of Black and like 50 hours of White too. I never finished either of them like properly.
I finished White or Black. I can't remember which one I had. When I say finish, I mean I beat the League once. I didn't do all the end game contents, and then I never beat the League in White 2 or Black 2.
Yeah.
I got
It's the problem with those games is that they take so fucking long. Which, if you're a kid and you've got nothing but time, that's great. But I think the pacing is so much better when they've added that stuff in. I understand a lot of like hardcore people would probably not like it, but
yeah,
like a lot of it is nostalgia because that was my favorite generation. But what they've done is great. Like the presentation, the soundtrack we've already discussed. I think some of the cinematic things they do with like adding new characters and like having like first-person shots is really cool. Like, I don't want to say revolutionary because it's not, but for that series, it's fucking huge.
They make a lot of changes to the base game compared to the originals. Well, like Morville is now like this big, massive shopping mall instead of this like town.
Yeah, it's really cool in the food court. We battle endless waves. Like, it's just so good. It's so good, but
like I said, I didn't add it in here because I figured that, like you said, it's a remastering, but it's so many years since the original game. I figured that doesn't really play a part in it, but also nostalgia really comes into an effect here for me, at least.
And for me, definitely. Yeah. I don't necessarily think it should win, but it did. I think we had to talk about it. It's a great game. I think Nintendo have knocked it out of the park this year. I think all the games of theirs I played have been great. I mean, obviously Bayonetta was developed by Platinum, but it's a Nintendo exclusive.
Yeah.
I mean, I really liked Hyrule Warriors, but I don't think it's necessarily Game of the Year material. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's fucking great. Pokemon's great.
I'm surprised you didn't add Smash Brothers onto this list.
I had a lot of problems with that game that were not involved with the fighting. I think if maybe me and you had, like, if I had, like, 3 other roommates, let's say, and we all played Wii U games together, I'd probably have a way better time with that game, but...
That seems like a game you play couch co-op or couch competitive with people.
I enjoyed the single player, and I really enjoyed the multiplayer, but, like, everything in between, and you spend a lot of time in the menus, because it's Smash Brothers, so, like, the matches are only a couple of minutes long.
Yeah.
They were fucked. Like, I think their amiibo stuff is really disappointing, whether or not they told you that it was going to be that way or not, because I was under the impression that it was you would play as your amiibos. I know they said the language like, oh, you'll fight with them. Like, yeah, of course I will. I'm going to fucking press A and he's going to jump or something. I don't know. That game's good. I don't think it's as good as Bayonetta.
Yeah.
To me, like, this category can only go to Dragon Age, but you have not played that game.
Well, like I said, we've got 3 games that really here: Bayonetta 2, Dragon Age Inquisition, and Titanfall.
I would say Bayonetta is a lesser experience than the other 2. I think it's great. Well, all these games are great. That's why we're discussing them right now. But
Yeah. Like I said, I've not played Dragon Age, but I would probably give it to Dragon Age just because Titanfall single player is lackluster. I mean, I know they said, yeah, you don't play it for the single player, but it's part of the game that launched. You have to include it.
I like the idea of it, the idea of this multiplayer campaign, but it just wasn't done very well. Like one small like radio play or something every mission is not really great.
Yeah. Just the size and scope of Dragon Age sounds incredible.
It's everything. It does everything it does really well, and it does shit that I never thought it would. Like, I love changing the curtains in my castle. And, like, you can upgrade the throne. I'm like, you need to play that game. You need to play all the Dragon Ages to really appreciate it. But
I will at some point play all the Dragon Ages, and when I get to Inquisition, I can't wait.
So are you okay with that? Are you okay with Dragon Age Inquisition winning?
I have already marked it as one.
Indeed you have. So, GameDropZone's 2014 Game of the Year goes to Dragon Age Inquisition. And I think it deserves it.
Yep. Tomorrow we will be talking about our most anticipated game for 2015.
Of course, this depends on these games not being pushed to 2016, but I think I definitely checked up on these things. They all look like they're coming out next year, so
yeah,
that's something. But yeah, I can't wait. There's some great games on that list.
Okay.
Yeah, check back to the site tomorrow. Bienvenue.
Matinee.